Hi, welcome to our math. Today I'm doing a series of videos on finance equations. This video has to do with compound interest. So Stan has $50,000 to invest, and he found a bank that offers 8% annually. And they have these weird conditions. Banks don't normally do this, but it's kind of fun to play with the equation. So for each option we have, Stan's P, principal amount that he invests, is $50,000. That's constant. The rate is 0.08. That's 8% divided by 100. That's constant. What's going to change is the N and the T. N stands for number of times the money is compounded a year. So in this case, it's compounded continuously. So we don't have an N. We actually use this second equation. E is a number just like pi is a number, and it is a number that represents continuous interest. When you have 1 plus r over n, it's just a number. You know, if this was annually, it would be 1.08. It's just a number. E is just a different number. Okay, so for this one, it says the T is 3 years. So A is equal to 50,000. E to the R, which is 0.08, times 3 for 3 years. And after 3 years, Stan's money turns into $63,562.46. Not bad for 3 years. I know you're like, but I want more money. We all want more money. For the second option, Bank 2, it's compounded hourly. And what this means is that every hour of the day, and there are a lot of hours in a day and in a year, the money is compounded. And so after, let's see, 24 hours a day, and there are 365 days a year, and so this is going to be 8,760, and that's what N is going to equal. So N means that this is how many times the interest is going to run. So what we do, and T in this case is 7 years. So let's see how this all falls together. We start with $50,000. That 1 represents 100% because we're always adding to our base amount. And the 8%, the 0.08, is annual. Well, in option B, this 8% is divided by 8,760. That's a very tiny amount. And every hour, that tiny amount is added in and becomes part of the principal. So after an hour, the 50,000 is going to be a little bit more. And after $2, it's going to be even more. And so your principal is going to grow every single hour. That means that the bank isn't looking at this growth for 7 years, 7 times. It's looking at it 8,760 times a year for 7 years. And after all of those compounds, Stan has $87,533.40. So option 3. So you can see that after 3 years, he made about $13,500. After 7 years, he made $37,000. It's growing faster because you start to earn more money on your interest. The longer you can let the money sit, the better off you are. All right, option 3, our principal is still $50,000. We still start there. The rate is still 8%, so 0.08, because we need to make it into a decimal so it can play nicely with the other numbers. This time it's compounded biannually. That means N is equal to 2, and 10 years means T is equal to 10. So we start with $50,000. We have 1 plus 0.08 divided by 2. We could actually calculate that number out. Instead of 8% a year, it's 4% every 6 months. Which means if it's 6 months for 10 years, it's 2 times a year for 10 years. It makes sense. It's going to be done 20 times every 6 months. At the end of 10 years, Stan has $109,556.16. Yay. Okay, so the last question says, hey, let's say Stan chose this third option because mathematically it's easiest to write the numbers. How long will it take until he has $125,000? Actually, continuous is the easiest, but we want to play with logs on this one. So if he chose this third option and he wants $125,000, he's basically asking, if I invest $50 at 8% per year, twice a year, how many years will it take for my $50,000 to turn into $125,000? And I could have left it at 50 and 125 because when we divide it out, either way, it's going to end up being 2.5. So I divide both sides by my 50,000 and I get the 2.5 I just promised. I can leave this as 1 plus 0.08 divided by 2. It's the precision way of doing it, but because 2 goes into 8, I'm actually going to say 1.04 to the 2t, I don't need the parentheses, equals 2.5. At this point, I have two options on how I choose to solve this. The first, take the log of both sides. I use natural log because it's fewer letters to write. That's honestly the only reason. Logs allow the exponent to become multipliers. I have videos about this if you need to go and review. So then we have 2t natural log of 1.04 equaling 2.5. I then divide both sides by the 2 and the natural log of 1.04. Be careful when you type this into your calculator. If you type 2.5 divided by 2 times natural log of 1.04, your calculator is actually going to throw this up to the numerator. It'll divide and then it'll multiply. So you need to put parentheses around that, or do 2.5 divided by 2 divided by natural log of 1.04. Either way, we get that t is going to equal 11.7 years. Okay. Now, there is another way to do this. I'm just going to do a quick shout out to this. I could have at this point done 1.04 squared. And if I had done that, I would have had 1.0816 to the t equals 2.5. And then when I have the log of both sides, I don't have to worry about that whole division thing I just talked about here because I'm only dividing by one item. I'll still get the same answer. So it's your choice, but make sure if you do this method where you square it, you don't clear out your calculator because that's what's going to cause error and it's going to cause you to get the wrong answer. This is the best for getting the precision answer as long as you know to put the parentheses around the multiplication and the denominator. Awesome. Okay, thank you for joining me on this finance game. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like my Facebook page, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks.